The story begins on Christmas Eve with middle-class Ashley driving through an upper-class neighborhood. She talks on the phone to her mother about spending tonight babysitting and in her distraction almost runs over a cat. She's heading to the house of Luke Lerner, a spoilt only child who's never been told no and has developed feelings for Ashley since hitting puberty last week. He discusses with his best friend Garrett about a plan to trick the 5-year-older babysitter into a relationship. Luke's mother Deandra politely offers to order pizza, but the hormonal child snaps at her to get out of his room. His father Robert's putting the finishing touches on the tree before they go out together for the night. Just then Ashley gets to the house and takes over for the Lerners who she's worked for since she was 13. Luke's creeping around the second floor and is asked to help assist his dad while Deandra shows Ash the old pencil on the doorknob trick and hides the foreshadowing under the rug. When the parents go out they take Garrett with them, leaving just Luke and Ashley alone for the night, but she instantly gets on the phone with her boyfriend and gets overheard by a jealous Luke. During the call a tiny spider causes Ashley to scream for him to kill it, but Luke calmly takes it outside saying that it's done nothing wrong. On his way back inside he overhears Ash call him a child to her boyfriend and decides to step it up. He gets into a bottle of bubbly in an attempt to make himself seem older but just comes across more childish, so Ashley pours it down the sink while telling her boyfriend not to call again tonight. Having a stressful night, Ash takes a swig, but is caught by Luke, who is overjoyed as now he gets to keep the bottle lest he tell her parents as well. Shortly after, Ashley attempts to order a pizza but the phone rings, startling her, prompting Luke to try convince her to have another drink and calm down. The other end of the line's quiet, so Ashley joins Luke in the living room where he's downing the bottle in front of a horror flick. She remembers that she forgot to order the pizza, but one turns up anyway by a driver we never see the face of. Not letting it go to waste, they down it while watching the movie, and Ashley tells Luke that he cracks her up and that if he was older she would date him. He's pleased to hear it, until a few moments later when Ash answers the phone to her persistent boyfriend calling for the 10th unanswered time. Luke overhears her use the same wording that he also cracks her up and loses his feeling of being special, so when she returns to the couch he makes his move but gets rejected to his confusion. Soon they begin to hear strange noises coming from outside, and Ashley receives a call from a modulated voice saying that she's being watched. Noticing the back door open, she rushes to close it before telling Luke to throw her phone, but he chucks it straight into the fish tank between them. While attempting to act brave, the dozen-year-old yells out into the void for any challenges before being tackled to the ground by a hooded figure, who turns out to be Garrett, having returned to hang out. He claims to have no knowledge of the previous noises and only just got there, when they hear a window break upstairs and go to investigate. They find a brick below a shattered window, then notice that none of them have any signal on their phones, plus the Wi-Fi's been disconnected. As Garrett continues to try get the internet working, Ashley and Luke go downstairs to find that her tires have been slashed. Soon Garrett comes downstairs with the brick and has noticed that a message on its side reads, "You leave and you die." Just then headlights stream through the window, so Garrett takes off running in a panic. He's suddenly shot by an unseen attacker, so a horrified Ashley locks the door and tackles Luke to the ground to take cover. They begin to come up with the plan but are forced to flee from a cloaked figure at the window. Another intruder armed with a shotgun's prowling the hallway upstairs, but the two manage to make it into the attic without being spotted. Before long, Ashley's almost falling through the manhole due to spiders on her face, but Luke catches her and calms her down before pulling her back up. They climb back down the ladder where Luke attempts to get his father's pistol while Ashley waits on him distraught. She hears terrifying sounds but is too afraid to check it out. Suddenly Luke returns, so the two relocate to his room across the hall with the kid now armed. They hide behind his door when the armed intruder enters, but he finds nothing and leaves. The duo hide inside his cupboard with the intention of writing it out, but Luke goes on his hero trip again, saying he'll protect Ashley and setting off a loud toy. The intruder returns and starts searching the room, but Ashley notices him wearing one of Luke's masks and sporting the same itch as Garrett. She's busted the two in another attempt to seduce her with fear and begins calling Luke a spoilt child who needs therapy. He takes this to the heart, and when she attempts to leave, Luke pistol whips her down the stairs, rendering her unconscious. Though worried by what his friend's done, Garrett assists Luke in taping Ashley to a chair in hopes of fitting in. He's taken some of Luke's medication and is now just going along for the ride. While waving his gun around and torturing Ashley by ordering her to speak only when told, Luke claims to be able to get away with murder if he wants, planning to force drugs down Ash's throat and blame everything on her. After a creepy little head rub from ya boy, they force her to play truth or dare, where Ashley's asked how many men she's slept with and states none. Luke's dared by Garrett to grope Ashley, which he does, but gets emasculated even further by being told it felt like a child. When it's Ashley's turn, she reveals that Luke killed Garrett's pet hamster LeBron, which begins to create division between the two friends despite Luke clearly wearing the pants. When it's Garrett's turn, Luke doesn't allow him to touch Ash, so he's upset and attempts to leave, but is heard off screen being told that he's now an accomplice to kidnapping. While alone, Ashley attempts to signal the neighbors with a flashlight but is caught in the act by the returning kids. With the empty bottles around the home as more phony evidence that the babysitter's a liar, there's suddenly a knock at the front door, so they duct tape Ash's mouth shut again. Ashley's boyfriend Ricky's come after receiving a text from her and pushes his way inside, calling out her name. He almost locates her tied up in the living room, but the loud music drowns out her muffled screams and the boys put him off the trail. When he goes upstairs to search the bedrooms, Luke comes from behind and cracks him upside the dome with a metal baseball bat. It fails to do the job and Ricky fights back, easily defeating the runt, but gets a rug pencil in the face courtesy of Mother's hiding spot. About to bludgeon the evil child himself, Garrett appears with the shotgun, stopping Ricky in his tracks, just long enough for Luke to regain the bat and finish the job. Luke's completely convinced he's seen enough CSI to cover up a crime scene and disposes of the evidence. They tie Ricky up next to Ashley, who knocked herself over and obtained a shard of glass during the struggle. She reveals that she never sent Ricky a text to come around and that it was actually Luke, but he showed up a bit too early. He also admits to killing Garrett's hamster on purpose, as you'd expect. He put Ash's phone in a plastic bag before throwing it into the fish tank, and shows that it still worked the entire time. He attempts to invite one of Ashley's ex-boyfriends around, but he insults the kid on loudspeaker, giving Ricky a laugh. For this he gets a gun pointed at his face but pisses his pants in response, sending Luke frantically trying to clean up the new evidence. Bleeding through the whole ordeal, Ashley's almost cut her restraints while the supporting boyfriend talks up her abilities as the final girl. In an attempt to frame him alongside his girlfriend, Luke fills Ricky with THC and enjoys watching as it leaks through his cheek. The boys drag him into the entryway where Luke tries to bust the myth that inspired this movie. As Ricky warns Garrett that Luke isn't really his friend, the psycho begins testing what happens if you actually hit someone in the head with a swinging tin of paint like in Home Alone. Ashley gives up trying to cut the last restraint and makes it to the room in time armed with the pistol, but Luke still throws a perfectly lined up tin, exploding Ricky's skull off screen. Threatened with the pistol, Luke's unfazed, as he's had the gun unloaded the entire time. Ashley tries to escape out the back, but trips on a wire that activates the paintball trap that made it appear like Garrett was shot. Luke's sidekick attempts to restrain her, but he puts up little fight and Ashley manages to escape the yard. She tries to reach a group of carolers on the street, but is KO'd by the "you leave you die" brick thrown by Luke. With her now tied up with Christmas lights, Luke amuses the carolers out front before joining Garrett, who's over everything. Luke tries to get close to Ashley, but she knees him in the balls while his friend just lays there. Garrett's sure they're gonna get caught, but Luke's still convinced he can get away with anything like he's always done in the past. Shortly after, Ashley's ex-boyfriend Jeremy shows up expecting to reconnect and staggers into the backyard.
Hi.
Luke steps out and claims that Ash wants him to write an apology letter in order to win her back. The moron doesn't realize he's writing his final words, as Luke throws a noose around his neck and hangs him with a lawnmower as a counterweight. Inside, Garrett's convinced by Ashley to take her gag off, then is convinced verbally to let her go as she's sure Luke wouldn't hurt his best friend. He obliges in an attempt to redeem himself, but is suddenly blown away by his returning friend. The little psycho blames Garrett for making him shoot him as he told him not to touch Ashley. Then, as the scared kid's asking for his mom, he gets double tapped by the sociopath, who instantly switches back to his placid self and exclaims that Garrett was starting to annoy him anyway. He sits down next to Ashley and begins complaining that his mother no longer tucks him into bed. Ashley tells him that she knows why, but goes quiet and closes her eyes, setting him off as he wants an answer. She stays this way without any response indefinitely, so Luke takes a knife and stabs Ashley in the neck, causing her to bleed out. The gremlin begins staging the scene to frame Jeremy for the killings as a scorned ex-lover who sought revenge. He prepares to go to bed, but remembering Ricky's cheek, he races downstairs and pretends like another pencil did the damage. While tracking his parents nearing the house with an app, he attempts to place the weapon back on the doorknob, but it won't stick, so he must climb around the roof and into his window. A cable catches his foot, causing the falling Christmas decorations to nearly give away his deception as Deandra and Robert pull into the driveway. Luke makes it inside undetected and takes his medication, which knocks him straight out, as his mother's heard screaming downstairs when they find the bodies. Waking up in her arms like he was complaining to Ashley that she never did with him anymore. Luke's house is full of detectives, all being pointed by the clues towards Jeremy. One officer shouts from downstairs that they've got a survivor, so Deandra rushes off as a worried Luke looks out the window to see who it is. Having stuck duct tape over her neck to stop the bleeding, Ashley survived the knife wound and flips her attempted killer off as she's wheeled into an ambulance. Mother hugs Luke, still unaware of his crimes, as he suggests they pay his babysitter a visit at the hospital. And the movie ends. So you made it. I appreciate your time. I couldn't have done it without you. Tell your mother I said thanks.